The escalating conflict and deteriorating situation in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are a grave concern to the people and governments of East Africa. Noting the worsening humanitarian crisis exacerbated by ongoing military actions, including the closure of airspace in Goma, I call for the immediate and unconditional cessation of hostilities. I call on the parties to the Luanda process on Eastern DRC and appeal specifically to my brothers, President Felix Tshisekedi and President Paul Kagame, both of whom I have had the occasion to speak to heed the call for peace from the people of our region and the international community. We will be convening an extraordinary East African Community Summit within the next 48 hours to facilitate and to deliberate on this crisis and chart a way forward.
Yeah, that is President William Ruto, yeah, President of Kenya, and he's trying to intervene and mediate in the affairs that are ongoing right now in Goma that I spoke about yesterday. It's really a sad event because it is the civilians that are bearing the brunt of the crisis right there. And the M23 rebels are said to have captured Goma, and it's such a sad thing though. The thing for me is that you cannot really tell who is behind this. Kagame is saying he's not behind the M23 rebels, but the UN are saying he's behind the M23 rebels. Now, there's one thing about me. I kind of, when a report is coming from these foreigners, I kind of have my suspicion a bit. If the UN are pointing Kagame, if the US are pointing to Kagame and saying he's the one backing the M23 rebels, then maybe we should begin to rethink and say, why is Kagame actually backing the M23 rebels? Does it mean that Kagame is actually doing this, because it means well for the people of Congo, in a way, even though it may seem as though yesterday I said Kagame was taking this action at the behest of Western powers. But here we have Western powers also pointing to Kagame as being behind these things. Or maybe it's like the little politics that have been happening in the region. The region is said to be very rich in natural resources. And because of how rich it is in natural resources, there are too many interests right there. And so perhaps there's a clash among even Western powers. It may be said that even the M23 rebels themselves are being sponsored, by Kagame at the behest of the foreign companies. And also other conflicting foreign powers also in the DRC, of which tend to be clashing. It's a very tricky situation in an environment where it is said that the area is very rich in coltan and cobalt and lithium, all of these natural resources that are very important. Especially for our present day technology, it is difficult to understand the internal politics that is being played on. Here's a video on UN that is also condemning the crisis, and is talking about how the masses are the ones suffering. Hospitals are overflooded, and I don't know, I've never experienced war before, so it's sad seeing people experience these things and not being able to have a way around it.
People with close to 6.5 million displaced people in the country, including close to 3 million displaced people in North Kivu. So over one third of the population of North Kivu is already displaced, and now this Goma crisis is unfolding. So the humanitarian situation in and around Goma is extremely, extremely worrying, with new threshold of violence and suffering reached today as active zones of combat have spread to all quarters of the city, all the neighborhoods of the city. Civilians are taking the brunt of the escalating hostilities.
Yes, you see, that's a statement from the UN, and it is saying how the civilians are the ones taking the brunt of the situation. I hope that there comes an intervention, like William Ruto said. He's the chairman of the East African community, and so I hope that they resolve it, they find a solution to it, because the situation is really escalating, and this has been the situation in DRC Congo for a very, very long time. Like I said yesterday, I will still continue to keep you guys updated on the Congo crisis, and man, there's a whole lot of work to do here in Africa, man. It's a whole lot of work. Areas that are rich in natural resources are the ones that suffer a lot. and it's really sad, honestly it is.